I am all about making the most of your home and adding little bits of design, joy, and delight to your spaces. So today, I'm going to teach you how to add color and texture and organic beauty to your spaces with fresh flowers, cut branches, and some potted plants. Now, we're going to head outside and I'm going to show you some of my very favorite easy and affordable ways to bring nature's bounty into your spaces and make everything look absolutely gorgeous. Let's go. So let's talk about the options. First up, we have cut flowers. Now, my pro tip here is that if you have the option to add cut flowers to your spaces, I suggest going with seasonal flower arrangements. They tend to last a lot longer and they feel more natural in your home because they're a parallel to what's happening outside of your windows. So an example of this could be tulips in the spring, zinnias in the summer, dahlias in the fall. All of those are seasonal flowers and they just add that extra element to your spaces. Now, don't worry if you don't have these growing in your own yard. Grab some at the store. That's no big deal. They'll be selling a seasonal assortment anyways. Next up, we're going to cover cut branches. These are an easy, budget-friendly way to add a lot of drama to your room. So if you can, clip some greenery from your own yard, or don't stress out if you can't do that. Just go and buy some at your local florist shop. Cut branches add that relaxed, organic feel to your spaces. Now, last, I want you to think about incorporating a few potted houseplants into your rooms because they're a great long-lasting solution for adding that greenery touch to your spaces, and there is like very little maintenance with them. So now I'm going to show you a few of my favorite super easy cut floral arrangements and some potting techniques. I want to start out with these gorgeous roses first. So I picked these up at the local supermarket. Don't judge me, but they're beautiful and they're affordable, and this is 2 bunches. I think it's like 2 dozen roses. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to start out with this vase. Actually, it's not a vase. It's a champagne bucket, but I love it for roses because of the shape. When you use a vase or a champagne bucket or whatever, a vessel that splays out at the top like that, when you put flowers in there that are a little bit taller, have a longer stem, they splay out and they make a really big arrangement. I love that. I like the bigger the better. So what my pro tip is when you're doing something like this, or really any flower arrangement in a vase, I always just kind of measure out like how tall down, how far down do I want that? And then you're always going to want to snip the ends of your cut flowers because they need like a new surface to drink up the water that's inside the vase. And then I always pull off any leaves that would fall below the neck of the vase. And then of course, if there's any petals that are a little bit tattered, I'm going to pull those off before you put them in there. So that might take a minute, but we're going to create an entire arrangement with these beautiful store-bought roses that no one will ever know. Now, I will say that in the summer, we have roses in our garden. And of course, I'll use those all summer long. We have a lot of rose bushes, but I mean, they only bloom a couple of months a year, and sometimes I want roses in my house and I just pick up some at the store. And that's not a big deal. I think having live flowers, greenery, plants, stems, branches inside of your home is such an incredible way to keep things feeling fresh, even if you don't want to move your decor around, even if you don't want to restyle. Just adding in some flowers makes a huge difference. Ta-da! Okay, we finished the rose arrangement, and as you can see, when you choose a vase like this that splays out, the roses splay out, and it makes a really big arrangement that looks great on a coffee table or an entry table or a desk. So beautiful and so easy. My personal preference is to create easy, loose flower arrangements. I do not have a lot of time to get nitpicky with it, so something like this takes a couple of minutes, and it's just a really beautiful statement. So now that we've done that one, it's so gorgeous, let's move on to a cut flower arrangement with tulips. Here are the tulips I'm going to use, and these are also store-bought. I have tulips growing in my garden right now, but we had a huge rainstorm last week, so they are looking a little tattered. So these are from just the local store, And this is 2 bunches of tulips. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the tulips that I did with the roses. This is the vessel that I'm gonna use. It's this low slung, wide bottom, very small mouth vessel. And I like to do this with tulips because it gives the tulips the ability to kind of droop out and splay out. And that's just the look that I like. I think it's very romantic. So same thing, I'm gonna put my tulip in here, figure out the height. Do I like the height? Yeah, I actually do. So I'm just gonna snip a little bit off of the bottom of the tulips because they need, you know, a clean bottom just to make sure that the water will soak up. Okay, so now then, let's just see what that starts to look like when I put those in there. And this is gonna soften up and loosen. The tulip arrangements, when you very first put them together, they look a little rigid. They kind of stand at attention, but tulips start to kind of get a little droopy and soft over the course of a couple of hours of being in a vase. They start to look really natural and beautiful. So there you go. That ended up being only 1 bunch of tulips. So the other bunch I'll do a different arrangement with because I can't fit anything else in there, but look how cute that is. And that's just like, that was so easy. 1 bunch of tulips. The key is the vase. So look for yourself one that's kind of big at the bottom and has that small opening at the top, and you'll be able to achieve that look. Look. Okay, next up, let's do 1 more cut flower arrangement. And this one is probably one of my favorites. So I think it's very unexpected to do an arrangement like this, and I just love them. So what you're gonna wanna do is to pick a low bowl for your vessel. So I've got some out here, but this is probably one of my very favorites to use. I use this one all the time for this type of arrangement. And then you need a floral frog, which is like that. It's got these little pokes, like pokey needles that come up that you push the flower down into, it holds it straight up. So when you're doing an arrangement like this, you need some type of a flower that has a rigid stem, but still feels kind of organic in the way that it's shaped. And I like tulips work. Sometimes you have to cut them a little shorter. I love ranunculus for this. This is one of my favorite flowers to do this type of arrangement with. So I'm gonna pick a couple of ranunculus stems. I'm gonna show you. When you do this one, okay, normally when you're cutting your flowers for an arrangement, you always want to cut the stems a diagonal. It gives more surface area at the bottom of the stem for the flower to drink the water up. But when you're doing an arrangement like this and you're sticking your flowers down into a floral frog, I found that it's better to blunt cut the bottom because then it has more surface area to like stick down into the frog. So I'm going to just do a blunt cut straight across and then stick that ranunculus down into that's adorable, down into the floral frog. I love this kind of arrangement. It's very, very unexpected. So I'm just going to keep adding in my flowers at different heights and kind of having them going different directions. Okay, here we go. Look how cute that is. That's just so fun to do and so easy. That was 1 bunch of white ranunculus. And then the finishing touch when you're doing an arrangement like this that's in a low vessel is to put some moss on top. And it literally makes it look like the little flowers are just growing out of the moss, which is super cute. Welcome to my woodland garden. So we're just gonna tuck that in around the edges. And then that kind of just makes it feel like the flowers, I even take a little piece usually and put it down in the middle if there's like a open gap. Okay. Ta-da, we're done. That was fun. I'd suggest you try this one. I mean, obviously we've probably all made arrangements with roses and tulips, but this may be something that you've never done before and it's very easy. It doesn't have to be ranunculus, just any type of a flower that's gonna have a little bit of a sway to it. these are my favorites, and you can usually pick these up, you know, at your local supermarket, garden store, that kind of thing. So I have cut some magnolia branches from the yard, and I love a lot of different cut branches. I like to use seasonal ones. So in the summer, red buds are probably one of my very favorites. I love bridal wreath spirea. It's really like, oh, it's so beautiful. The flowers are so pretty. Viburnum is a great option. Dogwoods, any type of flowering branches, especially in the spring, is amazing. But my all-time favorite is magnolia branches because they look good no matter what time of year it is, and we have a lot of them in our yard, so I always just cut them from our own yard. If you do not have any branching plant, you know, trees or an option to cut any branches out of your own yard, you can get cut branches at your local florist shop. They add so much architectural interest to your space, add a lot of drama, and they last for usually like 2 or 3 weeks. So that is always a win-win for me. Now, I love to do my branches in a large vase like this. And I know that this vase with the branches is gonna go on a pedestal I have in my house. It's a white oak pedestal, so I wanted a contrast. So I did this white vase that's got this really beautiful matte glaze. But this thing is massive. Like if I filled that up with water, it would, there's no way I could carry this inside. So pro tip is that if you've got a big vase like this and you don't want to fill the entire thing with water because it's going to be heavy, use a smaller vase to put inside of it. So this is the one that I always use inside of here because it fits really well down inside of it, and I've just filled it with some water. And then I just put it down in the vase and nobody knows the difference. And it makes it, well, if I can get it down in there. Oh, Lordy. It makes it, this table's too tall. It makes it so much easier because I don't have to, well, that was hard. Can you imagine if I had filled this whole thing up with water? Oh, disaster. Okay, so when I'm thinking about my branches, I've cut some different ones, and I really like to start my arrangement out with the tallest one. I think this one's the tallest one. And I kind of place him down in there and see how he's looking and see what branches kind of do their own thing. And then I've got this guy, which I probably can snug in right here. And it's probably looking pretty good. I can't really tell because, you know. But as I take this inside, I've got one more. I might add him in. I don't know. I usually put these in the vase outside. And then once I get inside, I usually kind of have to move them around and figure out once I get it like on the, I do branches on our entry table. I love to do branches on that pedestal that I was talking about. And I have a console, kind of credenza piece of furniture that I always love to do branches on because I need something really tall and dramatic. So I'll probably move them around a little bit when we get inside, but free arrangement, lots of drama, gonna last for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. You're gonna need to change your water out. But how beautiful is that? That's so easy. It will add a lot to your room. So I challenge you to add some cut branches to one of your spaces in your home this week and see how you like it. All right, now let's talk potted plants. Okay, I'm gonna move this guy out of the way because he's taking up all of our space. And then I wanna show you a few of my favorite ways to add some potted plants to your rooms. Now, when I do potted plants inside my house, I usually put them in some type of a bowl or a basket or something that I can put a liner down inside because I don't want the water seeping through and getting on my furniture. There's also little trays that you can put under your pots if you want to do just like a normal garden pot. This is one of my very favorite bowls to use for a potted plant. It's handmade. It's got this gorgeous glaze on it. It's a really good size. And I have got this living lace over here that is so pretty, and it actually fits perfectly down inside the bowl. So I just would stick that down in there and we could call it done, but I usually do add some moss around the edges of my potted plants because I just think it makes it look more finished. And then that way, if there's a gap or anything between the bowl or the basket or whatever and your plant, it kind of covers. See how pretty that is? It just covers it up. It dresses it up and it makes it look better in my opinion. And it's easy to just throw it in there. I got this moss at my local craft shop, but you could order it on Amazon. So there's that guy. That was easy. And then I love also to do ferns inside the house. Sometimes I'll bring them out on the patio in the summer, but this is a pretty little maidenhair fern that I love. I think it's very sweet and delicate, and it looks great on a kitchen countertop or, you know, a little spot, maybe by a window in your bathroom or something like that. Same situation, put that in there. Oh, I'm stuck. And then I'll just dress it. I'll dress the sides of it with moss. I always do that. That's a pro tip, is to dress your potted plants with moss. I even do that out here on our patio. If I've got a plant that's like up on our shelves or something, I'll always put moss around the edge. When it's outside, it keeps the moisture inside your plant, so it keeps it from drying out. But then also it just looks pretty. So, okay. Ta-da. That's it. That's all we did. That's all we needed. I've got a couple more, you know, around on the table, but potted plants are really, for me, like, especially in the winter, they are a source of energy inside of our house. So I'll always make sure I have some potted plants. And then I do always have some type of a floral arrangement inside. Maybe it's I usually have one in our living room on a cocktail table that I see and I pass all the time. And I love adding a little posy of maybe roses beside the bed or in the bathroom. You could use like a small little vase like this and a couple of roses. You could cut those down. And honestly, just give yourself a little happy inside your bedroom or inside your bathroom when you wake up in the morning. It doesn't take much. Something like that. So cute. Okay, we're going to take all of this inside and I'm going to show you the space inside of my house before we added our beautiful flowers and stems and potted plants, and then we're going to add them in. I'm going to show you the difference, what a difference it makes, and so you can be inspired to do this in your house. All right, here we go. We're inside the great room, and this is the room where all of those arrangements are going to go that we just made. It's a lot for one room, but I just want to show you how different a room can feel by adding branches and potted plants and some florals. So let's take a spin through this room so you can see the before. And then we'll put everything in and we'll look at the after. Okay, let's start adding our arrangements to the room. First with the tulips. And I want to show you something, just a quick tip. This tulip arrangement would have been probably too low for this huge mural if I would have just put it down on top of the credenza by itself. But because I put it up on this wooden riser, it's a good height and it feels like it has more permanence and prominence in the vignette. So that's our first one. Let's keep going. Next up, my favorite arrangement of all, our adorable little ranunculus. We're just going to put that right there. That's adorable. We're doing good, making progress. The magnolia branches are about as big as I am, but we're going to put them up on top of this pedestal. I love to do a big clipped branch arrangement on the pedestal because it kind of grounds this corner. So I always keep clip branches right here. This is what this pedestal is for. So look at what a difference that made in the corner. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got a couple more. Now we're going to do our roses, and generally I don't use this bright of pink in this room. But I love it. I think this looks really pretty. And one pro tip here is if you're going to go with like a brighter color of flowers in your arrangements, balance it out. So the tulips that I put on the credenza had that little pop of pink, and then I've introduced that pop of pink over here on the other side of the room. So it feels like they speak to each other and it's not just this like arrangement of bright pink roses in the middle of my pretty, muted living room. Okay, we got a couple more. So I've got our little rose posy, and it's cute right there. I'll probably end up putting that in my bedroom on my bedside table. And then one more place. Let's put this plant over here. Our pretty potted plant will go here on this bar cart. And I'll move some things around. And this is a great spot for this plant because it gets some filtered light from both sides. We've got windows from both sides, but it doesn't require a bunch of bright light. And I love how it interacts with that piece of art. I think that's so cute. All right, I think we got one more. Okay, last one. Finishing touch. Okay, I hope you can see what a big impact adding in those organic accents really makes into your room. It instantly feels more fresh and more inviting. Not to mention, I really don't think a room is complete without a touch of flowers or live plants or branches. Now, I love placing arrangements and plants all throughout my house, but here are a few of my suggestions for the best places to incorporate them into your home if you're looking for a place to start. So first is your entryway. You could do cut branches or a simple little floral arrangement on an entry table or a chest of drawers. It makes a really beautiful first impression for your guests. Next, your living room. You could do an arrangement like I did here on your cocktail table, console, a pedestal if you have one. All of the surfaces really in your living areas can benefit from a plant or an arrangement. On your dining table, you could do a floral centerpiece, or you could even do like a row of small bud vases. I've done that in the past and I love it. In your bedroom and bathroom, I love to add a little posy on a bedside table or on your bathroom countertop to just put you in a great mood as you're getting ready in the morning. And then kitchen islands and in front of any windows that you have in your kitchen. I love to do clipped branches on my kitchen island. I love to have a couple of potted plants, especially some herbs in the summer in front of our window. And then if you want to try an unexpected spot like a bookshelf or your mantle or a little touch on a side table, all of those places are really great spots to add in a little fresh greenery or some cut flowers or some branches into your home. I hope this video inspires you to add a few of these little organic finishing touches to your spaces. As you can see, they make a huge impact. Now, as I think about flowers, my mind goes to one of my very favorite places in the whole wide world. So if you want to see a little sneak peek into where I get all of my flowers in the spring and summer months, join me in the next video and I'm going to take you on a tour of my cut flower garden, aka my favorite place in the world.